In the teachings of Buddhism, dukkha, a Pali term often rendered in English as suffering, carries a profound and all-encompassing meaning that surpasses the ordinary notions we associate with the word suffering. For many, suffering conjures images of significant losses, such as the passing of a loved one, the torment of illness, or the acute physical pain of a broken bone. However, in the Buddha's vision, dukkha extends far beyond these evident moments. It is a subtle reality, interwoven into every breath, every fleeting instant of life, even those times when we believe ourselves to be happy. Consider, for a moment, a perfect day. You sit by the ocean shore, gazing at a radiant sunset, a deep sense of peace enveloping you. Yet, as the sun dips below the horizon and darkness falls, a faint emptiness emerges. This is a glimpse of dukkha, not because the moment lacked beauty, but because it cannot endure forever. Dukkha is not merely the obvious pain we recognize, it is a fundamental dissatisfaction, a quiet realization that everything in life, no matter how wonderful, falls short of absolute perfection. To illuminate this truth, the Buddha delineated dukkha into three distinct aspects, each offering a window into the essence of existence. Dukkha, the direct suffering of life. This is the most apparent form of suffering, one that anyone across the globe, regardless of language, culture, or belief, can readily perceive. It encompasses physical experiences such as the pain of an injury, the frailty of aging, or the emotional anguish of losing someone dear. Picture yourself accidentally striking your shin against a table's edge. The sharp, immediate sting is dukkha. It is tangible, unmistakable, and requires little explanation. Yet, what is noteworthy is that while we often view this as the entirety of suffering, in Buddhism, it represents merely the surface of a far deeper ocean. Across the world, from humble villages in Africa to bustling cities in Europe, people encounter these pains. A mother in India weeps as her child falls ill. An engineer in America grapples with the stress of relentless deadlines. Both are manifestations of dukkha. The Buddha did not deny that these are natural facets of life, rather, he emphasized that they are not the whole story. To linger here is to see only the outer shell of the matter, without touching its core. Viparinama dukkha, suffering arising from change, the second aspect, more subtle, is tied to the impermanence of all things. Everything we cherish, a delightful vacation, a profound relationship, or even our own vitality, will shift and, ultimately, fade away. Reflect on an evening spent with friends. Laughter fills the air, your heart glows with warmth, but then they depart, and a sense of void creeps in. This is Viparinama dukkha, the suffering born of change. For a clearer example, imagine you've just experienced a beautiful romance. Everything feels sweet and hopeful, but one day, it ends. The pain lies not only in the parting but in the recognition that even the most precious joys cannot last. Even without a definitive end, change persists, friends drift apart, health wanes with time, and pleasures that once thrilled us grow dim. Science concurs with this. The concept of hedonic adaptation reveals how we quickly habituate to joy, returning to a neutral state, unable to cling to the initial thrill. In Buddhism, this is not a tragedy but a truth to be acknowledged as a step toward transcendence. Sankhara dukkha, the foundational dissatisfaction of existence, the third aspect, the most profound and elusive, transcends specific pains or losses. Sankhara dukkha is a vague unease, a faint hum within the mind we seldom notice. It persists even when life seems ideal. You have a fulfilling job, a loving family, yet occasionally wonder, is this enough? What is the true meaning? This is Sankhara dukkha, dissatisfaction rooted in the transient and unstable nature of existence itself. Imagine a quiet night, lying in bed with no disturbances, yet an unnamed anxiety stirs within. It is not fear of something particular but a restlessness about life and its finitude. In the West, this might be termed existential angst, but in Buddhism, it is an inevitable facet of humanity until the truth is realized. Sankhara dukkha reminds us that as long as we cling to notions of a fixed self or an eternal world, complete peace will elude us. These three aspects, dukkha dukkha, viparinama dukkha, and sankhara dukkha, are not separate but interwoven, forming a comprehensive portrait of dukkha. Far from condemning life, they invite us to look deeper, to understand ourselves and the world more fully. To grasp dukkha in its entirety, the Buddha elucidated three fundamental characteristics of all existence, known as tilakkhana, or the three marks: impermanence, anicca, non-self, anatta, and suffering, dukkha. These are not abstract notions reserved for philosophers or monastics, they are universal truths applicable to all, from farmers in Asia to scientists in the West. These marks not only explain why dukkha pervades life but also serve as keys to unlock the path beyond the cycle of suffering. Anicca, impermanence, all things change. The first mark, anicca, is an evident yet often overlooked truth. From the smallest bloom that wilts to the grand birth and death of a star in the cosmos, everything flows in an unceasing stream of transformation. Observe your own body. Each day, millions of cells perish and renew, hair grows and falls, memories fade with time. Even what seems enduring, like mountains, erodes under wind and water over eons. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus declared, "You cannot step into the same river twice," a sentiment perfectly aligned with anicca. Modern science reinforces this. Physics theory of entropy illustrates how all moves from order to disorder, while biology confirms our bodies as systems of constant renewal. Yet anicca extends beyond the physical to the mind. Your emotions shift moment by moment, joy this morning, sorrow by afternoon, anger giving way to calm. This impermanence underpins dukkha, as we strive to hold on to what cannot be held. Anatta, non-self, no fixed I exists. The second mark, anatta, may be Buddhism's most challenging concept, especially for those accustomed to the idea of an eternal self. Anatta asserts that there is no independent, unchanging I. What you call me, your personality, thoughts, emotions, is merely an assembly of ever-changing processes. Pause and look within. Thoughts arise and vanish, sensations come and go, memories dim. Where, then, is this I, in such a flow? Imagine yourself as a wave upon the ocean. It has shape and motion, yet it is inseparable from the water, a temporary expression of the vast sea. Likewise, our self is not truly autonomous but contingent upon countless factors: body, experiences, environment. The 18th century philosopher David Hume echoed this in his bundle theory, suggesting the self is a collection of perceptions with no fixed core. Neuroscience today supports this. The brain constructs the sense of self through neural networks, yet it is not static. Anatta does not negate your existence but invites you to see the self as a stream, not a rigid stone. Dukkha, suffering, the inevitable outcome of impermanence and non-self, the third mark, dukkha, does not stand alone but emerges directly from anicca and anatta. Because all is impermanent, lasting fulfillment cannot be found in anything. Because there is no fixed self, efforts to forge an enduring identity lead to frustration and discontent. Think of grasping sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. This is how dukkha operates, arising when we resist the truths of impermanence and non-self. These three marks form a triad, interconnected like the sides of a triangle. Anicca reveals all things pass, anatta shows there is nothing to cling to, and dukkha is the natural experience when we fail to embrace these realities. Yet, wondrously, Understanding Tilakkhana does not lead to despair but unveils the light of liberation. These marks are not a curse but a mirror reflecting reality, guiding us to adjust our way of living and find peace amid life's flux. In Buddhist teachings, the question, why do we suffer, does not rest merely on identifying dukkha as part of life but probes deeper into its root cause. Through the second noble truth, the Buddha pinpointed the origin of all dissatisfaction and suffering, Tanha, often translated as craving, desire, or attachment. This is not an alien concept to anyone worldwide, for craving is a natural impulse of the human mind, felt by those in modern cities and remote mountain villages alike. Yet, what the Buddha urges us to see is not the desire itself but how we allow it to govern and shape our lives, thereby engendering a cycle of suffering. Tanha, the power of craving. Tanha is more than a wish for something extra, a tastier meal or a grander home. It is a profound thirst within the soul, a desperate endeavor to clutch what cannot be secured. Picture holding a helium-filled balloon. The harder you grip, the more it rises and escapes. So it is with Tanha, it drives us to cling to the impermanent, and this very clinging begets suffering. The Buddha categorized Tanha into three primary forms, each offering a lens on how the human mind becomes ensnared in this cycle. Craving for sensual pleasures, Kama Tanha. This is the yearning for pleasant experiences, those delights we perceive through the senses, like the sweetness of food, the soothing sound of music, or the warmth of an embrace. We've all known this, an afternoon unwinding with a hot cup of tea, or the delight of a kind word. These are not inherently wrong, they are natural to life. But trouble arises when we make them our sole source of joy. When the tea cools, when praise fades, we feel bereft. Modern science explains this via the brain's reward system. Dopamine spurs us to seek pleasure, yet it never yields lasting contentment. Across cultures, from lavish feasts in the West to music festivals in Africa, humanity chases these joys, only to find them fleeting. Craving for existence, bhavatanha. This is the desire to become, to forge a solid, lasting identity. It's seen globally. A businessperson in Asia strives to cement their name, an artist in Europe dreams of an enduring legacy, an ordinary soul yearns for love and recognition. It manifests in aspirations for success, fame, or even a wish to live on in others' memories after death. Yet Buddhism reveals this as an illusion, for no fixed self exists to uphold, a truth tied to anatta. When we stake our happiness on fame or power, we enter an endless race, as all will shift and vanish. Craving for non-existence, vibhavatanha. This may sound paradoxical, but it is a craving to escape the unwanted, a perverse attachment to not being. Facing pain, failure, or discomfort, we wish to push them away, to erase them entirely. Recall a time you tried to bury a sad memory in work or avoided a tough conversation. At its extreme, it may drive one to numb reality with substances or harbor thoughts of self-destruction. Its forms vary, from the indifference of a city dweller to the despair of a rural hermit, yet it remains tanha, rooted in rejecting reality as it is. The three poisons, fuel for tanha. Behind tanha lie three forces the Buddha termed the three poisons: lobha, dosa, moha, greed, aversion, and delusion. They are like flames consuming the mind, intensifying the cycle of craving. Greed, lobha, is the insatiable want, not just for possessions but for experiences and status, the feeling that what we have is never enough. Aversion, dosa, is anger and resistance, arising when desires are unmet or the undesired appears, a flare of rage at rejection, a shiver of fear at failure. Delusion, moha, is ignorance, a blindness to the truths of impermanence and non-self, convincing us happiness lies externally. These poisons are not mere theory, they pulse in daily life, from petty family quarrels to global conflicts. Psychology labels this confirmation bias. We seek what affirms our beliefs, ignoring truth. Living with the three poisons, we thrust ourselves into suffering, not because life is harsh, but because of how we respond to it. If dukkha stems from Tanha and the three poisons, is escape possible? In the third noble truth, the Buddha resoundingly affirms, yes. The cessation of suffering is not a fanciful dream but an attainable state, nirvana. Nirvana is not a celestial realm adorned with flowers, as some faiths depict, but a state of mind where the fires of craving, aversion, and delusion are extinguished, leaving profound peace and absolute freedom from dukkha. Nirvana, freedom within reality. One who attains nirvana does not detach from the world or cease to feel. They live, experiencing sensations like physical pain or grief, yet remain unswayed by them. Imagine standing by the shore, watching waves rise and fall. You see them but are not swept away. This is nirvana, the capacity to meet all experiences with equanimity, neither grasping nor rejecting. It is not a privilege for a select few but a potential within everyone, from bustling city dwellers to those in tranquil countryside. The Noble Eightfold Path, a practical way. How does one reach nirvana? The Buddha provided a clear guide, the Noble Eightfold Path, 8 interwoven practices steering us toward a life of awareness and meaning. These are not rigid commandments but living skills, applicable worldwide, regardless of who you are. Right understanding, seeing reality as it is, grasping impermanence, non-self, and the Four Noble Truths. It is the first step, a beacon lighting the way. Right thought, cultivating positive thoughts, compassion, letting go, rather than drowning in resentment or selfishness. An American might forgive a colleague, while an Asian finds joy in aiding family. Right speech, words that are truthful, kind, harmless, from a gentle chat with friends to a speech before a crowd, fostering harmony. Right action, acts that harm neither self nor others, rejecting violence, embracing honesty in small deeds. Right livelihood, choosing work that does not cause suffering or clash with ethics, a merchant refusing deceit, an artist spreading joy through talent. Right effort, actively nurturing good, shedding ill, as one exercises the body, so we train the mind to grow strong. Right mindfulness, living presently, aware of each thought, feeling, action, whether eating breakfast in Europe or meditating in Asia. Right concentration, deepening focus through meditation, rendering the mind clear and serene. Support from science and practice. Remarkably, the Eightfold Path is not just ancient wisdom, modern science validates it. Studies on meditation show reduced stress, enhanced memory, and brain changes via neuroplasticity. A New Yorker might meditate to ease work pressure, an Indian to find calm amid chaos. This practice requires no withdrawal from daily life. Begin with 5 deep breaths or a smile to a stranger. Living the Eightfold Path demands perseverance and compassion, for others and oneself. It is a path of awakening, where each step deepens understanding of self and world, unveiling true freedom amid life's tides. When we ask, is life inherently painful? Buddhism offers no simple yes or no. Instead, the Buddha's teachings provide a profound, hopeful perspective, yes, but a qualified affirmation opening a door to liberation. This is not a philosophy solely for recluses in Asian monasteries but a truth for all across the globe, from busy urbanites in Europe to humble folk on Africa's plains. Let us explore this answer and the call it extends. Yes, the reality of dukkha in everyday life. The yes acknowledges that dukkha, dissatisfaction, suffering, is inseparable from human experience when we live with craving, aversion, and delusion. None can deny this. Consider life's joys, a cozy evening with family in Brazil, an exciting trip in Japan, a career triumph in America. These moments shine, yet they do not last. When dinner ends, the journey closes, or success fades, a void emerges. This is dukkha, not because joy is false, but because it is fleeting, and we cling to it. Moreover, facing hardships, illness in India, loss in Africa, stress in Australia, we resist, pushing them away. Yet this resistance amplifies suffering. We chase a stable self, a perfect life, but reality shifts, defying our hopes. From east to west, north to south, dukkha knows no bounds, a reminder that our usual ways of grasping and rejecting breed discontent. But the path beyond suffering, the but, is Buddhism's radiant promise, offering hope to all on earth. Dukkha is not an immutable fate, not a decree of endless misery. It is a diagnosis, like a physician identifying an ailment to heal it. The Buddha declares we can change, possessing the freedom to choose our response to life. From a mother in Vietnam to an artist in France, each holds the potential to awaken, transcending the grip of Tanha and the three poisons. This path is the Eightfold Path, a guide not just for monks but for all, from laborers in Mexico to scientists in Germany. It teaches us to see life truly, live with compassion, and train the mind to embrace all, joy and sorrow, gain and loss, with calm. It is not a pledge of a trouble-free life but an invitation to dance with impermanence rather than fight it. An Egyptian might find peace amid desert chaos, a Canadian smile through winter's chill, all through mindful release. Buddhism does not leave us mired in dukkha but equips us to rise above. This is a call to the world: do not flee reality or clutch illusions, face it, understand it, and tread the path of wisdom. Each breath, each moment, is a chance to uncover the boundless potential within, no matter where you stand on this earth.